So today we have Judith Addai with us, who is a chemistry graduate at the start and has got interest and expertise in digital marketing, food and nutrition, as well as being a very keen and exciting entrepreneur in this space. So Judith is going to come and talk to us today about something of her journey and her interests in and around the gut-brain axis and how food and nutrition affects mental health. Judith, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
So, Judith, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Okay, so I live in Derby at the moment, and I've moved from London in the last few years. And over the years, I've had issues with my health, which I've managed to overcome through research. So that's what's brought us together here. So that, in a summary, that's it about me. Yeah.
So what specifically was some of the issues that you experienced along the way?
Okay, so my upbringing was back in Africa. And when I was about 16 years old, my dad had kidney issues. And he had to come to the UK to get a transplant. And during that time, I noticed some changes in me in terms of the way I was processing learning. And I would notice that I'll have a brain freeze during examinations, but I didn't know why. I was doing very well academically up until then. And then there was this sudden change and I didn't know why. I explained to my mom and my friends, nobody understood why I was feeling like this. And this went on for 2 years and I barely passed my O-levels. That's the type of examination we took in Africa at that time. So, I didn't pass all the subjects I needed to pass in order to pursue a chemistry course for A-levels. So my dad, who was living in the UK at the time, suggested that I come over and carry on with my education because I was born here. I just didn't grow up here. So I was able to come over and carry on with my education. And unfortunately, when I came, he had just had a kidney transplant and he went into coma at the time I arrived. And he did pass away 3 days after I got here. And I think that, made situations worse for me, unknown to me, because I didn't know what was happening to me at that time. I tried to get on with my life, and get on with things that you'd expect. But things didn't go well. In fact, I was hitting one hurdle after another, which were causing more stress. And during this time, I was having brain freeze still, so my A-levels didn't go very well because I would forget everything I'd learned in the exam room. And yet, if I was given a coursework, I would do really well and get a very good percentage. So I realized there was something not quite right, and nobody knew how to help me either. And that just went on for a while. Sorry, go on.
So that sounds, it's like a pretty traumatic period of your life.
Yes, it did.
And so what happened after that?
So after that, I couldn't pass my A-levels, which meant, pursuing a degree was a problem. So I had to do a foundation course first in order to do the degree, and that opportunity came, which I took. Now, what I did notice was that at that time, the foundation course was not exam-based, it was course-based. And even with the exam, you didn't sit in a very long hall, the traditional, it was just your classroom setting. And you were you just did your exam in the classroom. So it was a familiar setting. And I noticed that I did extremely well. And I was able to do my degree.
Yeah.
And and during my degree, I did well in my coursework, but when it came to exams, I was still having the same problem.
So
yes.
That sounds really familiar in terms of the research that people have done in terms of stress and traumatic experiences with children, where it's like the brain freeze happens, and we've discussed this before, I think, where your amygdala gets so hijacked, you're hypervigilant, it doesn't feel like it's secure, it doesn't feel safe, and that all the learning that's in there just gets shut down. And it's not that you haven't learned the stuff, but it's because the brain gets hijacked. It's the blood flow switches from your cortex into your amygdala, and sadly, this seems to be what happened to you at the time.
It's very interesting you said that, because nobody knew this. I even spoke to my lecturers at the university, and none of them understood that. So it's really interesting to hear what exactly happened to me. Yeah.
So what happened as you developed and you got older and you passed your exam, your degree, etc.? Carry on with what happened with the story then, Judith.
Thank you. Yeah, so I barely scraped a pass in my degree, I must say. And that was because my coursework was so good. And although I didn't do very well in the exam, I was still able to pass. So I went into teaching after my degree. So I did a teacher training, and fortunately enough, I didn't have to take exams. So I was able to do that. So that's what I ended up doing. And that was not what I planned to do. In fact, I planned to become an ophthalmologist.
Right.
But because I could not pass my exams, I couldn't do it. Even pharmacy, I thought, okay, maybe I can't do ophthalmology. Let's try pharmacy. I couldn't pass my exams. So teaching was a good route for me because I didn't have to take the exams.
Yes.
I could just do a teacher training. It was a hands-on thing. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it because I always had a passion for children as well as having a passion for science. So teaching brought that together for me, which was a good one.
And so what age group are you involved with the teaching side?
I'm involved with primary age children.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been, yes.
And I think we the last time we spoke before this interview, you mentioned the idea of these kids being very excitable, very stressed, and things that you did to help along the way. Can you just explain what your role is in that?
Yeah, so when I got into teaching, I noticed that I always had, I will always draw close to children who were having problems with their learning. So they would have behavioral issues, or they will be maybe fostered children. I always felt myself drawn to those type of children. And there's been occasions where I've had to teach very challenging classes, and trying to get over their behavior problems in order to teach them was a big hurdle for me, and it was a big learning curve at the same time. And I had to come up with strategies of managing behavior so that I can get through to the learning. I would have calm music sometimes to calm them down. Praise was very important. And I found that telling them that they can do it and assuring them and bringing out the best out of them by proving to themselves that they can do it was a very good way of getting their attention and helping them to focus with their learning and controlling behavior.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you use. So would you have music on all the time, or would you have music at the start of a lesson? So how did that work?
Usually I'll have music on before the children walk into the classroom. So because they've been playing and running around and, shouting, which was a very different atmosphere compared to what's expected in the classroom, I would set the atmosphere by putting on a very calm music, just instrumental music, no voices in the background or anything like that. And then that helped calm them. And also when they line up, I'll make sure they are all lined up straight, calm, and I'll explain why I'm asking them to do that. It's not just teachers like to have straight line, but it's just to set the mind ready for learning and walking calmly in the line and not running in the line. There was a purpose to that. So once the children understood why I was doing it, it was just easier to follow. Yeah, so that helped. Yeah. And sometimes we'll have yoga as well. I'll put, Cosmic Kids or, yoga something, and we'll do yoga before the lesson. And usually it would be the afternoon lessons after break, because the breaks were longer. Yeah. Children were walking very tired and all that. So we'll do a bit of yoga before we carry on with the learning. And it's always helped.
Yeah, I can relate to that, certainly with the research we've been doing with stress and trauma in children, where they are so up. So it's a bit like these kids are up a ladder and you're trying to get them to come down so that you have a chance to teach them something.
Yes.
And I do kind of have a lot of sympathy for teachers and the positions that you're put in, where you've got to teach something, but you've got to do a little bit of psychology, you've got to help kids, and you have no idea what's going on in somebody's home, so you can't delve into that depth.
Yeah.
The strategies that you employ are to help the mind focus, help them to feel safe, to explain why you're doing these things. And it does help. I'm sure it helps where you're doing yoga. So part of the research in it is that our bodies encapsulate or trap or hold some of the feelings inside, and being aware of your body, even with kids, that you don't have to have an understanding of it, but to experience it, there is a release. And I think it's pretty good that you're able to do these things, Judith.
Yeah, it was purely out of trial and error. I think with my science background, I was experimenting with the kids a bit and seeing what was working and what was not working and adapting until we get it right. Yeah.
And successfully so too.
Thank you.
More than, I guess, a lot of other teachers who are not able or not willing to experiment in these ways. So I think you said before that sometimes you would be given the more difficult classes to deal with.
Yeah, I had a reputation of having the most challenging class in the school. Yeah.
Which is good that somebody does. But I guess from a personal perspective, it makes it much harder for you.
It did. There were many times that I wish I had less than 30 kids so I can concentrate on them better. Yeah.
So let's segue into the gut now and the nutrition side of it. Explain to people listening how that evolved.
Okay, so even during my teaching career, the problem I mentioned about when I was studying carried on, because of the nature of my job. It was very stressful, and I think it did make things worse for me. So I noticed I was having a lot of gut issues. I had a lot of indigestion. I had constipation for a very long period of time. And in the course of that, having a family, looking after my family, and my children had developmental delays as well, which were quite challenging to deal with, and work full time. So it just made the gut issue worse. So I started developing what I now realize was panic attacks. See, I was ignorant of things to do with mental health, and all that. And having my upbringing in Africa, mental health was quite looked down on. If you had mental health issues, you would want to hide it.
Right.
It's not something you would openly discuss. So I kept it to myself for quite a long time and tried to deal with it. And I didn't even know what I was trying to deal with, to be honest, because I didn't even know what was wrong with me. All I knew was there was something wrong. I was constipated most of the time, and I just thought, okay, that's how my system is. Maybe I'm just have that sort of system. I didn't even know it was something to do with stress or anything like that. And then I went to the dentist. Usually they would say my teeth are very healthy. I'm doing very well looking after my teeth. And there was just one occasion I noticed I was bleeding. My gum were bleeding. And I tried to use stronger mouthwash, specifically for stopping bleeding, and it didn't go away. So I decided to see the dentist. And surprisingly, I was told that my gum was receding. And if I did nothing about it, I was going to lose my teeth. I couldn't imagine my career without teeth, to be honest. But it did shake me. And I decided to do further research and find out how I could treat my gum so that my teeth don't fall out. So, yeah.
Sorry, did you get any help when you went along to GP practices, etc.? What happened when you went there?
Yeah, so I remember having this problem with my gum. I went to the GP. They said, go to the dentist. So I went to the dentist. At that time, I was also having palpitations. Now, all I noticed was my heart was beating very fast, faster than normal. So I went to the GP for that, and I was given a heart monitor, and I had to sleep with it for 2 days. So I wore this thing for 2 days, and I took it back to the hospital to be monitored. The results came back normal. And all these times I was doing blood tests, I was doing all sorts of tests, and they were all coming back normal. And I knew that there was something not quite normal about me. And that's what made me research further, because why are tests coming back normal when I know that something is wrong with me?
Yeah.
So I started researching.
So the system wasn't helping you at all?
No. Even with the dentist, I was just told, if you do nothing about it, your teeth will fall off. They didn't tell me what to do about it. I had to go and find out myself what I could do.
So what discoveries did you make along the way that helped move your mental and physical health?
So the first thing I found out was leaky gut. And I thought, what is leaky gut?
What's leaky gut? Yes.
What is leaky gut? Yeah. And then I found out that it's as a result of inflammation in your system. And the fact that you're not able to absorb nutrients properly when your body is inflamed, when your gut is inflamed. And because you have leaky gut, your body starts conserving the nutrients that you have to feed your vital organs. And your gum and things like that will start losing nutrients because they are not so important for your body to survive. And I'm thinking, okay, so that could be the reason why my gums are receding, because they are not getting the nutrients they need. And I said, okay, how can I deal with leaky gut? What can I do to stop this leaky gut? So that was my next research.
Yeah. And what did you find out as you went along, Judith?
So I found out that if I took fermented foods, they would help build the good bacteria, because the bad bacteria in the gut are the ones that cause the leaky gut and cause the inflammation. And what I did notice, funny enough, was that I was craving a lot of things that were not nutritious. Because of the nature of my job, I was under a lot of stress. I did not feed my body properly. I was skipping meals sometimes. I didn't always have time for breakfast. And so I was not feeding myself. I would have biscuits handy, so that I'll just shove it into my mouth when I'm starving, so I can carry on working, So I have biscuit on in the left, and my right hand was marking books and things like that, And so I noticed that because I had this bad bacteria want to be fed things that would keep them alive. So I was craving these things that were feeding the bad bacteria, but not the good bacteria. So I realized that if I start eating some fermented foods, that will start feeding my good bacteria, and then they can increase. I also learned about prebiotics and the fact that they can feed the good bacteria. So those were the things that I started using. And then I noticed that organic foods do play an important role in our diet. So I started incorporating a bit of organic food because they were expensive. I just, had a budget, and I'll spend that budget on organic food and mix that with the food that was normally, I would normally buy. But what I did try to do was eat more vegetables, because I didn't have any taste for vegetables, and I had to find a way of putting more vegetables into my body and some fruits.
Yeah, that's interesting on a lot of different fronts. I know, for instance, that when we're stressed, we tend to reach for sugary foods because you need the mental energy. You need something to keep you going when everything else is saying, I'm tired, I've got a lot of work to do. And we tend to reach for sugary foods, which gives you that dopamine rush. But the problem with dopamine rush is that once you hit the high, you hit the low, and the lows seem to be a lot lower than where you started. So you need to have more and more of the dopamine, the more of the sugar, and suddenly people are saying, I've put on all this weight, but I don't know why. I don't know if you found that.
Oh, I'm nodding so hard because I can identify with what you are saying. Yeah, I did put on a lot of weight. I did. But I was never a big person anyway. So even if I gained weight, people would not see me as overweight.
Yeah.
But I was, 17 kilos heavier than what I am now. So yeah, I did gain some weight, definitely gained weight. Yeah.
Wow. You're a lucky person if you can gain and lose 17 kilos and nobody can say you're obese, because not many of us, including myself,
that's true,
could say that. So I'm interested in the idea that, so you've used fermented foods, you've changed your diet in terms of sugary stuff, and you looked at pre and postbiotic as well.
Yes.
Did that have any effect on your moods or your mental health?
They did. So I was trying to treat my gum, and I knew that, okay, gum and teeth had something to do with sugar, so maybe I need to cut down on sugar. So that's where I started from. And then as I researched, I realized, okay, I need to put in some vegetables, I need to put in some fruit, and not just cut the sugar. So I did that, and I noticed that the palpitations were gone.
Oh.
I was having panic attacks with driving at the time. That was one thing that sent me to the doctors as well, because I would be driving and the car would feel tilted. The car would feel as if I'm driving it on two wheels rather than four. And I felt as if the car was going to capsize. Sometimes when I was stepping on the brakes, it would feel like I'm crashing into something. And that would bring huge fear over my body. And it would disabilitate me, and I'll have to stop the car because I didn't feel safe driving. So that also sent me to the doctors. And I noticed that actually I wasn't feeling like that. When I changed my diet, I thought, this is interesting.
Wow.
I was like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to sort my gum out, but I think I've solved the issue of this palpitation and panic attacks as well. And I was sharing my friends, and they were equally amazed. But what I did struggle with was maintaining that diet, because I had introduced it so quickly. trying to maintain it was very difficult for me because I was eating it like I was taking medication. It didn't feel like food. I had to take it because I want to be well. I didn't feel that I was really enjoying, what I was eating.
So it was
So
more.
when I stopped, I slowed down after a while. Sorry. Yes, sorry about that. I slowed down after a while and I noticed that I was beginning to have the palpitation and I could feel the panic attacks coming back. And I'm thinking, okay, so it is food dependent.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I begin to look into ways of making it more practical, more enjoyable, so finding different ways to cook my food. But then I came across some supplements as well. And in fact, taking pills was not my thing. I never liked taking medication. If the doctor gave me any medication, I'll probably take it once a day. That was the best I could do. If I had to take any pill 3 times a day, twice a day, I can guarantee I would forget 1 or 2. So even when I was giving medication, they were not working very well because I'm not following what I'm supposed to do. I just struggled to take medication. So finding supplements that could help me as I built the habit of, healthy eating was very good in maintaining my mental health and, helping me along that journey. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's a key thing that you just mentioned, Judith, is the idea of building the habits. And habits, we all, I've done that before. You think, I'm going to, go to the gym. And then a month, I'd like to say it was more than a month, but it was a month. And you think, oh, no, why have I not been to the gym for 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Because I've never built it in as a habit. And things take time. So using supplements as an adjunct, as a way of helping you keep going while you're building all the other good habits in your life is I think key to a lot of people. That we need some help along the way while we're doing the other stuff.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
I also like the comment you made about organic food, because organic food we could talk about for hours, and I'm sure you know as well as I do, the nutritional value of food has gone down.
Yes.
Because of the different ways in which farming has gone. But also, like you say, most people can't afford to have a fully organic meal because the cost is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
So one of the things I've found is there's a website that does the healthy dozen and the dirty 15, where there's certain types of organic foods which are more beneficial, or certain foods that are more resistant to pesticide, being still the residues still being on the food. So there's some foods, for example, like strawberries. If I'm going to have a strawberry, if I can, I'd have an organic strawberry. Whereas an apple, you're going to find less pesticide on it. So it's good you found this along the way as well.
Yeah, that's interesting with that website, because I hadn't researched so much into that sort of thing, and I didn't even realize. So as far as what I did read about though, was that fruits or food that had skin that you could peel off, you could get away with not having the organic version. So, for example, bananas. But I didn't research into detail about it because I was so budget driven. I'll just go into the shop and see, I can afford organic version of this one, so I'll get that one.
Yes.
So, but it's very interesting to hear about your website. And I think you've shared that with me before, and I found it really useful in terms of what type of organic foods that I should be buying to make it worthwhile buying. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a link up to that website at the end.
Yeah, that would be good. That's fantastic. Yeah.
But also, like, I think it's good that you say that it's the stuff that you can peel that is less likely to have the pesticide residue. And I think that's important, so that as you go along, you think, well, not every piece of fruit or vegetable is the same.
Yes.
In terms of pesticide residue. And I don't know if you've done this, but I found this as well, that rinsing the stuff that we buy, the non-organic stuff, in bicarbonate of soda or leaving it to soak does a huge amount for reducing the levels of pesticide, which can drop by up to 20, 30, or even 40%, depending on which vegetable you're rinsing it in. And it's helpful because, like say, not everybody has the budget that can afford a full organic meal. But I think most of us are able to afford a plastic bowl and to just leave stuff soaking in it and rinse it off.
That's true, yeah. I use that as well. I've not heard about the bicarbonate of soda, so I'm going to try that. Yeah. What I do a lot is vinegar. I wash my vegetables in vinegar. So I think it's the same effect. So yeah, I tend to the least I could do is salty water. Wash it in salty water or vinegar, and before I cook it, definitely, even with my chicken and things like that, I would wash them in vinegar.
I'm going to take that tip. I'm going to borrow that tip from you because I've not done that one either.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we just shared something useful between you and I here.
Yeah.
A little bit of diluted vinegar would probably do the same.
Yes. Diluted vinegar. Yeah.
Yeah. So how else have you noticed the food and the nutritional side helping your daily life?
Right. So for me, I've, with the supplements I've been taking, they've had a nutritionist on board, and he's been giving coaching with food and how to complement that with supplements and exercise. Mm-hmm. And I found that really useful because all through this journey, I've been doing it on my own, and just trying to find out what works for my body. And I've noticed a surge in my energy levels. And it's just taught me how to eat carbohydrates in general. Coming from an African background, I was brought up to take in a lot of carbohydrates, and very starchy ones sometimes, and I would notice that I would just, feel sleepy after eating most of the time. And my energy level was something that was of concern to me, although I no longer had this mental health issues. I did have a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, loads of sessions. I must have had like 4 or 5 sessions. But until I made that consistent change in my diet, I was not seeing the full effect of it, But once I made that change in my diet, my last session only lasted for, I just had 3 sessions in my last block of session. And then the therapist said, I think you're doing great. I think you can manage. And I was even surprised that he said that. And this was like over 2 years ago. And I've never had to go back, because I've made these changes along the way.
I think that's really important, that the idea of shifts in mental health, at least in your instance, where it is diet related. And sometimes we tend to ignore that and we think, oh, yes, somebody says, well, you need to go for counseling. And I'm not knocking the counseling bit, because the important thing that you mentioned as well is that your use of supplements has also involved some element of coaching. Mm-hmm. That to me is a big piece when I look at it with people. They say, if you're making a change, the bigger the change you want to make, the more help you will need along the way, because isolation kills. Mm-hmm. It will kill every desire, every initiative, because we can't make big changes on our own. We're not designed to do these things. So it's fascinating, your journey, and how it highlights some of the stuff that is so important. And I think
thank you.
That's what you're trying to do as well with people, is not just say, okay, well, this has helped me, but this can help you, and I'm willing to help you along the way. So that's fantastic what you're doing, Judith.
Thank you so much. Yes, because of the journey I've been, I said, why should everybody go through the same thing? Yeah. If I can find a way to help them jump the loops and get help straight away and start making the changes they want to make, why not? So that's what I try to do.
Fantastic. So Judith, as we come down to the end of this, where can people find you?
So people can find me on LinkedIn at the moment. I'm trying to get a website together where everything will be comprehensive, and I'll be leaving a free gift for people. So it will be just a PDF document on how they can help to improve their gut. And they can go on my email list, and I'll be able to send them weekly information. But that is underway at the moment. It's not quite ready. So if they stay in touch on my LinkedIn profile, they visit my LinkedIn profile under features, and they just keep looking. I will be posting further information there. Fantastic.
Judith, it's been great talking to you. And it's been quite inspirational, your journey. It's really good that you have shown a lot of initiative and perseverance in what you do. And furthermore, you're more than willing to share it with other people. So it's been
thank you. Okay. Yeah, so I believe my LinkedIn link will be left below the comments as well. So yes, so people can go to the comment section and click on the link. Then they'll be able to stay in touch with me.
Fantastic. All right.
Thank you.
Take care for now.
All right, thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.